Right, we're going back to the Well of Battles today, folks. They're so weird, so interesting, and so neglected by wizards. I can't not try to convince people to play these strange, strange cards. And this time, it's one for the enchantment lovers among you. Invasion of Theros is a 3-mana white siege battle with 4 defense counters which tutors an aura, god, or demigod on entry. Now, I'm not usually a lover of tutors, but this one I make an exception for. A lot of my issues with tutors come when they're too cheap, too generic, and at instant speed. They're just too good, especially when played in multiples. And it just kind of removes a lot of the variance from the game, and often causes a deck to win in the same fashion every time, usually with a combo or something like a Torment of Hailfire. If that's your kind of playstyle, I'm not saying that that's a bad way to win or anything. I'm not trying to be the fun police or yuck yum or what have you. It's just very much not my thing. I am very red mage. But back to the card, Invasion doesn't really have any of those problems as much. It's far more niche in what it can search while still having a nice depth to its card pool. And frankly, it's 3 mana at sorcery speed, meaning there's far more restriction to its play pattern than, say, an Enlightened Tutor, which can be thrown around on the end step, and it just makes it completely busted. And speaking of that card pool, actually, let's have a look at it, since I did say it was surprisingly deep despite what it looks like, and I intend to prove that. It's kind of the main draw of the card, after all. But anyway, breaking it down, first let's have a look at the demigods, because it's by far the shallowest pool of the 3. But even here, of those 6 cards, there's still a couple of nice hits. Daxos and Caliphate, in particular, are the ones that catch my eye as good support creatures. Then you have the Auras pool, which again has a lot more depth to it than it seems at first glance. At just the base level, you have your Voltronic pieces like Steel of the Godhead and Eldrazi Conscription. There's also a surprising amount of utility auras as well. Just to name a few, you've got Utopia Sprawl, Darksteel Mutation, Control Magic, and Curse of Opulence. All auras, all vastly different effects. This allows Invasion to have that extra layer of dynamism in what it can find. In a pinch you can grab that ramp, or that removal, or that theft card, if needed, provided you've built your deck correctly to accommodate playing this card. And frankly, I'm also a sucker for tutors which influence the way you build a deck, and with this thing's shallow yet rich pool that has all sorts of toolbox options, I've been got hook, line, and sinker. And then, the gods. Yup, a big draw of this card is that it tutors gods, and well, you've got a whole host of interesting options. From Athreos to Birgi to the Capitoline Triad, this thing can search any god you want. In particular, though, I think it excels in a deck where you're playing 2 or more gods that want to achieve the same kind of goal, like Thassa Deep Dwelling and Ethara God of the Polis in a Blink deck, or Ingra Nessica, Karametra, and God Eternal Aketra in a heavy creature strategy. This also works with synergies that these gods have with the demigods and auras that this can also search. For example, Heliod's Suncrowned and Daxos fit snugly in the same deck, and Halvar loves being in any aura deck. Additionally, this card works great in secret commander decks, where you've not built around the commander but a card in the 99. I'm aware that most of the cards that this searches are legendary, but it works in a situation where you say want to play extra colours for a usually more limited, usually mono-coloured deck. For example, this pairs really nicely with Oher Pakpatik, who really likes having access to white instants for that extra oomph on the rebound. Oh, and if you're playing with secret commanders, Invasion itself actually makes a pretty good one. That's right, as I usually do with dual-face cards, I've buried the lead again, because there's another reason why this is one of my favourite tutors. Once you remove all 4 defense counters from Invasion of Theros, it flips into the wonderful Ethara Eversheltering, a 4/4 Azorius god which draws you a card on an enchantment entering and has lifelink and indestructible if you control 3 or more other enchantments. Considering this is essentially just a bonus on an already nice effect, this is one hell of a bonus. An Enchantress which draws on entry and protects itself is already fantastic, but then you add the fact it's just a brilliant body to have around in combat, on attacks or defense, and it just reads better and better and better. Yes, it does require you to control 3 enchantments as well as Ethara to get the keywords online, but I'm going to be honest, that's trivial in a deck that wants to flip the invasion. For one thing, this thing's best homes are in Enchantress or Aura decks, where enchantments are 10 a penny, but also the invasion's probably already tutored you an enchantment provided you grabbed a Demigod Aura or Theron God. And frankly, you're not going to flip this unless the protection is already online anyway. Like, I personally find great success with this card in particular in Zur Eternal Schema, which adds Death Touch and Hexproof to the keyword soup for that lovely overkill, and benefits from both the search on the front side and the draw on the back side. But really, any deck that likes enchantments benefits from having this thing around, provided it's got the space for a few targets.